Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, and you are listening to, and if you're watching the Food and Finance Show. Now, on the Food and Finance Show, we talk about food-related businesses because a lot of people don't really understand the business side of food. Like, we're used to enjoying food, whether we, go out to restaurants or whether we order it and it's shipped to us or delivered to us, but we don't always understand the business behind it. So I always love talking to entrepreneurs who are in the food industry to hear the great things that they're doing. And if you've been on LinkedIn, or if you've even seen my page on LinkedIn, you'll probably see that I like a lot of Erica Rankin's posts. And part of that is because I think she's completely honest about her journey and what she is doing with Brodo. So I am excited to have Erica on the show. Welcome to the show, Erica.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, the first thing I gotta, ask is, what was your background before starting Brodo?
Not business. So I went to school for psychology. I got my BA in that, graduated in 2017. I also worked at a retirement home for 7 years, and I don't talk about this often, but that was like one of my first jobs. So I did that. I did personal training for a little bit. I worked in research. That's kind of my background.
Wow. I mean, it's quite the mix. Like I said, it's not the typical, hey, I went to business school, or hey, I worked in this business, then I jumped over. So what was it about, the entrepreneur journey that interests you?
So I guess I was working my like typical 9 to 5 job, driving into work every day. I would sit at my desk and I would listen to like entrepreneurial podcasts and like motivational speeches, but I wouldn't do anything about it. I would just continue to go into work, and I would be so fired up at my desk, but then I would just go in. It was just a cycle. And my contract was coming to an end, and I just felt super unfulfilled. And I looked around and I wasn't surrounded by the people that I wanted to surround myself with. Like, I wanted to be around people who are excited and like wanted to work. And it was just like a gray cloud was hanging over my head. So I quit that job. I was living with my parents and I didn't know what to do with my life, like early 20s, like living at home with no money. So I went online and I booked a trip to Thailand, and I spent most of my savings backpacking across Southeast Asia for almost 4 months. And like when I was on that trip, I was meeting entrepreneurs from all over the world. And that's when like a light bulb went off in my head, I think. And I was listening to these people, and they had no experience in business, but they had these incredible businesses and were living these incredible lives. And we're so passionate and excited and like bright eyed, which is something that I'd never seen before. So that's kind of what pushed me to launch my own business shortly after that trip.
Nice. It's always a very interesting thing because I went the route of, my background was accounting and finance. So I went to school for accounting, studied that, worked in that. And it's amazing when I talk to people who have gone that route of, the school and the additional education, and talk to them about entrepreneurship. It's like they always feel like, no, there's something else I need to do before I can do that, to where I'm just like, from my personal experience, I'm like, yeah, it's very interesting. You probably won't ever do it if that's your mindset. So I love the fact, like I said, you talk to people and realize like, hey, you guys are learning on the fly just like everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, like I didn't, I guess, venture into that realm because I was so uncertain and like didn't feel qualified enough. It's like, oh, I didn't go to school for business. I don't know how to run a business. But again, like you said, like you kind of just learn on the job and you fake it till you make it. Like I hate that, but it's so true.
It's one of those things. I was I've done a panel discussion at a university like 2 weeks ago, and that was one of the things that the students asked about. Well, how do you know what decision to make next? And it's just like, the truth is, you don't know. It's like you're gonna try some stuff is gonna work, some stuff won't. You learn
Yeah,
what you need to learn, and you just make the next decision.
exactly. Yeah.
Now, another thing that I really love about, the post that you share is the honesty in it. And I think back to, there's a video that you shared where you were showing kind of the comparison between people who run a big company when they get an order, like the type of dance or personality or response they're going to give, to when you have a small business when they get an order. Like, what was going through your mind, or how did you even come up with the idea to do that one?
Yeah, so that was actually a TikTok. I kind of like, I've seen other, I guess, TikTokers do similar videos, and that's kind of where I got the inspiration from because it's a trend, and it's yeah, like a big corporation gets an order, and it's like the most low energy dance you could possibly do, and then it's like when a small business gets an order, and it's just like popping off. But yeah, because it's so true, because that's literally like I remember getting like my first order, and it was like Christmas Day, like it was the most exciting thing, and I like packaged it with care. And even now when I hear that cha-ching, I mean, there's some days where I'm like, please don't order more because I have so many orders, but it's still exciting for me.
Nice, nice. I love it. I love it. I mean, because I guess how have you kind of navigated that? Like, because when you're an entrepreneur in a business and you're kind of building it up, I mean, there's those emotional ups and downs. Like, kind of how do you kind of fill in, I guess you say, the down moments so you can stay as level as you need to still execute?
uh yeah, like I think it's again like I try to be as transparent as I can be because I do like if I post myself crying on the internet and it helps one person, that's I'm totally fine with it. But like with those downs, I do have therapy like every other week, and she kind of helps me, I guess, create boundaries for myself. Because again, I think that's something that entrepreneurs really struggle with is like we live, like sleep, eat, and breathe our business. And it's so important to take personal time and not get burnt out. And so that's what I really try to do is just like set boundaries for myself and unplug. And if I'm having like a really, really bad day, I kind of like step outside and like look at like the macro of things. And I'm like, hey, is this going to affect me in like, I don't know, 5 years from now or a year from now or 6 months from now? Like, why am I still upset about it? So just, and also I think being surrounded by people who can bring you down and ground you when you're having like those irrational thoughts and you're kind of a scatterbrain all over the place. Like I message my friends who are founders and I'm like, this happened and I'm stressed out about it. And they're like, you're being stupid. Like it's fine. So that's kind of how I deal with it.
I love it. I love it. I think it's just that having those people that can be honest with you, you never realize like how irrational you're being until after the fact. And you're like, man, I was like pretty far out there.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
So tell us a little bit about how did you come up with the name for your business? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, so I have been in the fitness industry for like several years. I competed in multiple bodybuilding competitions in 2018. Again, like when I go and buy, like when I go to the grocery store and I buy products and stuff, like I really love looking at the protein in it because that's just something that I care about, and I like having that balanced nutritional profile. And the term bro is kind of like a gym term, like it's a play on words, like you even lift bro, or like you even work out, bro. So that's kind of where the term came from. And it's like, it's directed towards, I guess, consumers that are fitness advocates or they work out regularly. And that's why they purchase my product because of that added protein.
Gotcha. Nice. So what was it about that made you feel like, okay, all right, this is the product that I want to do. And hey, here's the niche of the product, because that's something that a lot of business owners kind of struggle with, is figuring out, okay, all right, what is my, who's going to be my core audience and how do I really lean into that? So how did you get comfortable with that?
I think it's because I'm my own core audience and I know what I look for and what I like in a product. And I kind of just really honed in on that and it seemed to work. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like I full on like ate a jar last week. Like I eat my product and I love my product. So I'm like, I'm one of my biggest fans, I guess. So being in the fitness industry and being like a person who purchases products similar to mine, like protein ice cream, protein bars, protein chips. I kind of am really familiar with those types of products. So I kind of just applied that to my product.
Awesome, awesome. So, a cookie, or I guess you say a cookie dough that is perfect for people who love working out. Now, how is when you introduce someone to the product, like what's kind of like their thoughts or their initial questions that they ask you about it?
Do I have to eat it raw or can I bake it? I get that a lot, and you can bake it, but I would say like 80% of my customers just eat it straight from the jar. Like they don't want to bake it. They don't want to take the time to make cookies and put it in the oven, and they just rather eat it straight up. And that's kind of what I market it as, is like edible cookie dough. Cause again, like that's a super nostalgic treat for me. Like me and my sister would argue when my mom would ask who wants to lick the bowl, like would be like, no, like I want to lick the bowl because it's the best part, right? So I guess just like also introducing that like nostalgic treat, but making a better version of it.
Okay, I absolutely love it. You know, what's been funny in my house is that I've been trying like this recipe of making flaxseed cookies, and I don't think I've tried it like for the past on and off for like past 3 months. They always come out flat and they always come out horrible. So I'm
Sounds
just
very good.
so I'm like being able to find a cookie that's not like high in sugar, one that's like not gonna put a ton of weight on me. I think like, you know, that's a gold mine. So like I'm glad that we connected. So I
Yeah,
can stop making these horrible cookies.
I got you. I can help you out with that. Yeah. No more flaxseed cookies.
I think the last time like I looked up a recipe and it said put baking soda in it, and I'm like, that seems a little off, but I tried it and it's like, and I ate the cookie and it absolutely tastes like baking soda. I'm like, there's no way in the
Oh,
world I'm gonna eat the rest of these.
oh no. I guess, yeah, baking is a lot of trial and error too, for sure. But I don't have flaxseed in my product, so you're good.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, we'll definitely have to hit that up. So, how can people that are interested in the product, where can they find it? Where can they go online, or and where can they get the product?
So unfortunately, right now I only sell within Canada, just because the product's perishable and it's hard to ship it to the States. But I'm planning on selling into the US later this year. So if you're in Canada, you can purchase it from brodo.ca. You can follow us on TikTok or Instagram, Brodo Canada, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Eric Rankin.
Absolutely awesome. Now, before we wrap up, you know, one last question I always like to ask every guest that comes on to me. When you think about, you know, your journey and you think about the type of business that you're in, you know, what advice would you give to other small business owners that are trying to do a business in your similar food industry?
Be curious, like ask questions, and don't be afraid of sounding stupid. Because I went like 8 months into my business without even using LinkedIn, without even asking people questions. And that's the only way you're going to learn, is to talk to others who have the experience. And I think, yeah, just being curious, asking questions. That's, I think, the one thing that has definitely helped me for sure.
Absolutely awesome. Well, Erica, thank you so much for coming on. Definitely been a pleasure. And like I said, I'm really enjoying all the content that you're sharing and just the transparency you have with your business and your journey. So thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode. If you like what you heard, don't be selfish. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and then share this with a friend, because you know a business owner that could definitely use this insight. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and turn on the notification bell so you get all the updates when we release a new episode.